got a little light. That's why.
Oh shoot, I'm gonna stop it for 1 second. Hi, it's KJ from For Life Coaching and also Beyond My Expectations. And I'm here with George Dale.
Hello.
Okay. Hey, George. And he is our intern for this year, for 21-22. And basically, George and I were talking about um, pain tolerance and pain threshold. And George is the football coach. Wait, the season's over, right?
Yeah, the football season sadly ended around the beginning of November or
Right.
before Halloween.
So how'd you guys do?
We did okay. We won our last two games, which is the most important part. You know, you always want, yeah, always want to go out with a bang. That's all we got to do.
Get the momentum going. Whoop, whoop. So George, as a team captain, he has been able to have access to all the players and talk to them about different things that they are going through. And one of the things that I'm quite sure George has had an opportunity to engage with people about is injury. Injury.
Mhm.
Did any of your teammates get injured this year, or did you see any injuries this year?
Well, that's that's a crazy question because a lot of teammates got injured this year. Even to the point where I went to one of our doctors. Well, went to one of the doctors that had the concussions and like tells the players if they have a concussion or not. And when I went there, they were like, "Oh, it's surprising seeing a Broughton player that doesn't have a concussion, or that's not injured, or that's just not coming here for any type of like injury-based thing." And I was going there for a physical, so I was surprised when they said that. They were like, "Are you a Brown player?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "For a second, I thought you came in for like a concussion or something, because this year has been like a little. There's been a spike this year of just injuries in general, concussions. A lot of people have had concussions this year. But yes, yeah, a lot of people have gotten injured this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm sad to hear that people are injured, but I'm happy to hear that people are going to get checked.
hmm hmm it's kind of like a forced thing, if you will, because for example, me, I got hit a little hard in my head, and I didn't really feel like I was there, but at the same time, we were in the mid. It was like the second it was the second quarter, so I still had three other quarters to really go through. So I kind of kept it to myself, and throughout I thought it went away, but throughout a little bit I felt it a little bit, but eventually I felt like it just went away. But I feel like that's like an example of what not to do, because a lot of people on the team, when they had even like a little like if they had hurt a little bit, they got checked out because they didn't want to just have it lingering on. Coach Dawson, one of the head coach, showed us a video about basically concussions and how you might think that you're okay for a certain period of time, but that's just, yeah, that's just you wanting to continue while your body is telling you basically to, go get checked out, because if you get like two concussions in one game, then that's basically like career and like ending right there, because a third one could mean like your life, especially in such a short period of time.
Right, right. Because you're not able to even process through things. Not only do you have the brain
hmm
injury, but you can't process to maintain yourself. Um,
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think you didn't go to the doctors?
Personally, I'm a person who doesn't believe in going and telling people, that I'm hurt, or like I'm a person that wants to just power through it. If I can power through it, that means I can do it again, and that means I'm just getting better. But I'm just a stubborn person. I really was on the team. I realized that we weren't. It was like the second quarter. I remember it was the second quarter, and it wasn't a head to head, but it was kind of head to head, kind of wasn't. But I had hit my head a little bit, and I realized that if I went out now, then we probably either lose the game, or it would be tough for us to win the game. So I decided that as a captain, because I was a captain for that game too, I decided as a captain that I would stay in the game and try to push it out throughout the end of the game. And if there was anything else happening at the end, that I would say something, but not during, because I didn't want to get taken out. Because I was also having a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not different from most people. I mean, a lot of
hmm
people want to stay in the game. They want to play. I mean, why would you go through all that training and practice if you didn't want
Yes.
to play, right?
hmm
Well, I know for some people, maybe not you. For some people, there's also the challenge of getting into the doctors and feeling like
Yes.
if you go to the doctors, is it going to be a productive visit or is it just going to be a waste of my time? I'm going to go there. They're going to tell me I'm okay. Then I'm going to
Mhm.
leave and then I'm going to have to come back. And da, da, da. I mean, like, have you ever felt that way or heard people say, like, I'll go, but I just don't think it's going to be productive?
Actually, a lot of people on our football team had that issue. I know, for example, one of my friends, his name is Brian. He like basically he gets injured every year, but the thing is, he plays on that injury because he knows that if he tries to go to the doctor, that he would have to go to a certain doctor that has his for his weight because he's an O lineman, so he's like 6 foot, 300 pounds, and if he tried to get scanned, what he told me was that a certain scanner, I forgot what the scanner was, but if he tried to go to a certain scanner, it didn't fit his weight or didn't fit his size. So he had to go to multiple different places to try to figure out who could scan him and show him exactly what was wrong because it was a knee injury. So he was trying to get his knee scanned, and he just had to go to so many different places to see if they had what he needed, and he ended up having to go all the way to Durham to get scanned and get checked out, which took a long time. It actually took, I think, 2 or 3 weeks for him to finally get checked out. So he was just sitting out for 2 or 3 weeks, and that takes a lot on you. I had to sit out for I think 2 days, and I came back a little rusty. So I can imagine how it feels being out for a whole 2 or 3 weeks, just to get checked. So at any point in time, if he could have like reheard it, like he kept walking on it, so he could have been making it worse as he was waiting for his diagnosis. And that also allowed him to stay away from football. So imagine if he had got scanned and then they said he couldn't play and that he needed to like recover for 2 to 3 weeks. Then he would have been mad because he wouldn't have had that time like just to come back. So another player also had that same issue where I think his finger got, yeah, his pinky was like dislocated. Well, he thought it was dislocated, and he went to go get it checked out, and it was actually broken, so he couldn't play for at least like 4 to 6 weeks, which took him out for a good part of the season. And he ended up trying to get checked out again to try to come back, but his parents, like his mom, kept having to go to work, so he wasn't able to get a ride to the doctor, so he wasn't able to get it checked out. And then there was a certain time that he missed because he was at football. There was just so many complications to where he wasn't able to actually get checked out and get to the doctor.
Mm, mm. And that is not what the story you're telling me is not uncommon. I hear that a lot with
Mhm.
athletes that, look, you know what? I'll just keep playing because I don't want to deal with this and I'll deal with it what? When will I deal with it?
Later, yeah, he deal with it
After season.
later.
When the
Yep,
season's over,
yep.
after we do this, da, 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 then I'll check it out. But otherwise, I'm not going to check it out.
And
Just
they keep pushing it back.
yeah, yeah. And those injuries, of course, they get worse with time.
Hmm.
If they're not, if someone's injured, they get worse if they're not addressed. But just a little bit about, I was reading about doctors and please forgive me, and their caseload. Do you know the average doctor sees 20 to 23 persons per day for 15 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
So if they see 20 to 23 persons a day, average appointments 15 minutes, because 25% of their time has to go towards paperwork, how much do you think they're actually able to grab of your situation, when you go into the doctor's office? So a lot of times, if you've been through something traumatic like an injury and you're thinking, oh my God, I might be out for the season, you're going in and you've got the story like this and he's like
Hmm.
this. And so
Yeah.
sometimes things are misdiagnosed. There's actually over 12 million misdiagnoses annually,
Hmm.
over 12 million. But once again,
That's
like I said,
crazy.
yeah, if you think about it, if you got to see, 20 patients a day, 23 patients a day in 8 hours, 15 minutes, you can't possibly grasp everything that's going on. They say that a doctor's
Hmm.
day should actually be 21.7 hours
Mm.
in order for them to properly care for acute, preventative, and there's one other thing I can't remember, but in order to properly care for
Yes.
patient chronic, like the things that happen over and over again, chronic conditions.
Hmm.
So for that reason, I can understand you saying that there's a delay because in people wanting to go, because of
Yes.
the process in just getting a diagnosis.
Exactly.
Not forget about the treatment, just, am I
Hmm.
okay?
And then even when you do get the diagnosis, you have to sit out. I know me, I was thinking if I have this, even if I do have a concussion, I don't want to tell them because I'm gonna have to sit out for 1 to 2 weeks to recover from it, and then I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna miss 2 games. I'm gonna miss practices. I'm gonna miss different installs, so that when I do come back, I'm basically gonna have to relearn a lot of the information that was taught. And overall, I just didn't want to have to go through that process of just being out because I said I love playing so much. I didn't want to have to sit there and
Everybody
watch
loves. I
other
mean,
people do. Yeah, I
you think
didn't
about
want to
the
have to sit there and
hours that you put
watch.
in, the training,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
the hits, the
Yeah.
diet, that everything that you put in. You have to love the game if you're going to do
Hmm.
it, right? You have to love it.
Yes.
So, yeah, and as you were saying, and we know that sometimes if you can catch the injury earlier, the sooner you can catch it,
Hmm.
the sooner you can treat it and treat it properly. Because
Yes.
if you're injured and you keep playing on that same exact injury, it does exacerbate or it does get worse.
Hmm.
So if you were as a coach, I mean as a team captain, all right,
Hmm.
team captain, what is some advice you would give to players? Just knowing some of the stats that we talked about, some of the things that we talked about, what would you say? Um, what would you say, or what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Because you might not be able to say
Uh,
anything because they might be like, I'm playing,
yeah.
I don't care. But
For me, it's more of don't be selfish because yes, you sit there and you think, yeah, I can pursue like for me example, I was just being selfish. I wanted to play, even though I was thinking about the team. If you have a concussion, you're more liable than like you're just in oh sorry. It's just the way that you have to care more about you because you're in a state that you can't really think, can't process. Playing football is such it has you have to you have to have instincts, you have to be able to read and react, you have to be able to do so many things, which is all cognitive and all thinking. And when you're out there and you can't really process things pretty quickly, you can't even see the cause because you're thinking about too many things. Because when you have a concussion, your mind's everywhere except where it needs to be. You're just more of a liability than you would be if you just sat out, made sure that you were okay so that when you do come back, you're at your peak. You can come back, you can get back in shape. It might take like a day or two. I feel like it shouldn't take more than like a week. But you come back strong, you come back better, and you come back actually, putting in the work, and you're gonna be even better than you were before the concussion because you're gonna be wanting to prove yourself more or prove yourself to the team. It doesn't even have to be a concussion. It can be really anything. For example, with my friend, him and his knee injury, he was just at a certain point, he just couldn't play as much in the game because his knee hurt so bad that he just couldn't play. Like after the third quarter, he was like, "Coach, I gotta come out. I can't go back in because my knee is just hurting this much." And that's really sad to have you feel like one of your big assets just go out because he didn't get treated or didn't take that time to maybe wait a week or two so that he can heal at least if not full, at least half, like not halfway, sorry, like almost there. Like you have to be at least I say 90% or 100% to be able to come back, not 50%, not 80%, because then that 80% is gonna keep going down because you're not actually getting better or you're not healing.
right, right. And what if more of that exhaustive testing was done beforehand? Like, what if it was done before the
Mhm.
game or whatever? And if you did it before the game and you saw he was at 70% from
Exactly.
practices, maybe
Hmm.
he doesn't play in that particular game to recover. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? And so that the
Yes.
next game he can be 90%. But one of the biggest challenges is that line between pain threshold and pain tolerance. Because you're an athlete and you train,
Hmm.
sometimes it's harder to detect, when there's a challenge there because your body
Yes.
goes into this autopilot mode. Like you've rehearsed plays so much over and over and over again until you can
Hmm.
kind of do the play in your sleep, even if you're in pain, even if you have a concussion, even if you're altered, etc., because you've rehearsed it so much. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like you can walk because you've been practicing over and over again. And even if something happens, you'll probably still get back up and be able to walk as long as it's not too severe, because once again, you've practiced it so much.
Hmm.
Um, so once again, that discerning between pain tolerance and pain threshold is huge, because athletes will always say, yeah, it hurts. But
Hmm.
because they've been hit
Hmm.
50 times in
Yeah.
practice this past week, you
Yeah.
know, it's just another hurt. It's not,
Exactly.
it's
And
not
that's
a
how it is. Hmm.
right, right, right. So so yeah, I did, and I don't know if you hear that often with your teammates, that like they're going to look afterwards, like they're like when they go to the doctors, like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was that bad because I just kept
Yes.
playing.
I've heard that a lot. Just there's a difference between something hurting and you being injured. I feel like if you literally can't like walk, or if you can't do a function without it, like it pulling you back. Like for example, when my friend knee, he can't really walk, he can't move the way he can because his knee is injured. It's not hurt, because usually when you're hurt, you can still do your job, you're just hurting. But injury is different because you're not able to do the job at the max at your highest level that you need to. And I think that's important to understand between something hurting and just something being injured.
Well, do you think knowledge or insight about it would help? I mean, you said the knowledge about the
Hmm.
concussion had people going, but do you think
Yes,
like
I think it is, because after that video of the concussion, a lot of people on the team this year decided that it would be better if they went to go get checked out, even if they didn't have a concussion, because it's more important to just be able to know that you're okay than to sit there and think you're okay, and then next thing you know, you're out for the season because you had accumulated like 3 or 4 concussions and you just didn't know.
and so what is that process of going to get checked for a concussion? Like, so from the time that you are from the time that they say you have a concussion
Hmm.
to the time that you from the time that they say you have a concussion
Hmm.
to the time that you're actually diagnosed, what is that like? Because you're saying they have to go get checked. So something happens during the game, and then something, and then the doctor. So what is that process like?
Yes. So once somebody gets a concussion, well, on the field, it's usually when a player can't get up after being hit really hard in the head, or after being slammed. It's usually head, of course. Like for example, I know one of my teammates was hit in the head, and he had hit his head on the ground pretty hard, and he got up and he was crying. I think there's two things, two signs of a concussion, and I think it's either crying or memory loss, something like that. I forgot exactly what it is, but he was more crying, and he didn't really know where he was, so they knew that immediately he had a concussion. Oh, it was light. The light hurts your eyes. You can't really see. So he was sit on the sideline. He had to stand. He had to put shades on, stuff to cover his face and his eyes. And then after that, he had to go to the doctor. I don't know which doctor it is because I've
So
never suffered a
so
concussion.
so the time between him having the concussion, right?
Mhm,
He's at the game, he has a concussion, he sits on the sideline. How
mhm.
long does it take for him to get to the doctors to check the concussion?
At least a full day, because he has to wait till the game is over. He doesn't. When you have a concussion, you have to stay on the side, unless it's like very serious concussion. Then you usually stay on the sideline. You wait till the game is over. Then you have to go into the locker room, which the locker room isn't very helpful with all the noise that
I was
happens
gonna say it's
after the
loud.
game. Yes, it's very loud, and a lot of players forget that people have a concussion. So we're just being loud and we're not really paying attention. So they have to go through and get their stuff from the locker room, and then they'll have to go home. And some people don't go the same night, because around the time the game ends around 11, 11 to 12. Well, a game around ends around like 10, but you don't get home until maybe 11 or 12, and then maybe waking up the next morning, and then you go maybe at around like 9 or 10. But either way, it's not immediate. You don't immediately go to the doctor. You have to wait until at least the next day to be able to go to the doctor, and then you also have to wait. I was told that you had to wait in a waiting room for maybe like an hour or two before they actually see you, because of how you talked about earlier, how doctors have to see so many patients in a certain amount of time.
Wow, wow. Okay. And so quite a few of those people that had the concussions during the game, they wound up actually being diagnosed or wound up being diagnosed with concussions.
Yes, especially if you get like if it's like a head to head hit and you hit your head like either you can be either hit head to head or you can hit the ground a little too hard or somebody can hit you with their shoulder in your head and you're laying there for an extended period of time and trainers are having to come over and pick you up, then it's like you're definitely out for a concussion. But there are certain scenarios where players get up but they don't like seem themselves, but
Mhm.
since they get up, nobody comes over and rushes over to see if they're okay because they got up and they show that they're okay, but they're not actually okay. I
Do
know
they
that
still
was
go to the
a
doctors or they don't go to the doctors if they get up?
those players if they get up, I know a story that my coach told me about a player who had to suffered at least 2 or 3 concussions in one game because he was just playing through the concussions, and then it got to the point where he after he got to his car he was crying and confused because he forgot how to start his car, he forgot how to get like home, he forgot where he lived, and all that because he decided to ignore all the signs of a concussion. And I'm gonna say that if he had went home, he probably wouldn't have gone to the doctor because he would have thought that he was okay and that he had gotten away with just he probably just said it was like a headache and would have gotten away with it.
Wow. Wow. So if you could give any insight on pain tolerance, pain threshold, and what you've seen has been successful as far as people understanding what they're understanding their limits.
Hmm.
Um, could you share anything like that where you've seen like one of your players understand their limits and they volunteered? They're like, look, you know what, this is it.
Hmm.
I'm
Yes.
out.
I know one of my friends. He's also a captain. Me and him have a lot of pain tolerance. You know, we're able to get hit. We're able to receive big hits and get back up from it and be okay. You know, be like just brush it off. But at a certain point in time, he has to sit out of practice because he knows that his body is telling him that he has to sit out of practice because either like I said before with the guy with the ankle, I mean, with the knee injury, his body knows that it's time for him to stop playing or stop practicing because he's in so much pain and that his knee is just his knee literally he can't walk on it, so he would have to go to the sideline and sit down. Or my other friend who has to suffer, he doesn't suffer any like big injuries. He does a lot of cramps and stuff. Like his like he has a lot of cramps, but he knows at a certain period of time he has to sit out of practice or the cramps will affect him in the game. So it could be Monday and he's like, okay, this is enough practice because if I keep practicing, then I'm gonna cramp. I'm gonna cramp tomorrow. I'm gonna cramp the next day, and it's just gonna be he's just gonna be trying to catch up in order to get to the game. So he's trying to
So he
prepare
really
himself.
understands his body.
Yes, yes. I think it's more about understanding how your body works and how much you can personally go through because pain tolerance is just you getting hit and being able to get back up. But this pain threshold is just your body knowing when to stop doing a certain task or you're gonna hurt yourself for the future. You're not just gonna hurt yourself now and get better. No, you can actually suffer maybe a serious injury because of it.
Right. And he's also lucky because guess what? That understanding your body is a part of it. But guess what? Another part of it is.
What's the other part?
I like the way you looked at me. That was amazing. It's being able to communicate it effectively in an effective way so that your coaches and your trainers and your teammates give you the support,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Hmm.
So that says a lot about his communication and a lot about Broughton High School because there are players out there that say, look, you know what? I can't do it anymore and I'm out. And coaches
Hmm.
say, well, no, that's not what you signed up for. You're a wimp or you're this or whatever, whatever. I would,
Hmm.
I've seen the videos. I've seen the videos
Yes.
of coaches complaining. But the bottom line is there has to be that synergy and that communication so that when a player says it, that the coach understands that the player's not just wimping out or being lazy, that the player is really and truly, you know, in trouble.
Yes.
right? Right?
Hmm.
Because once again, a coach's job is to push you to that next level. And they may think
Yes.
that they're pushing to the next level, but if you come in at 50%,
Yeah.
you know, you don't need to go to 60. You need to maybe rest and get to, I
Yes.
mean, you don't need to be pushed to
Yes.
60 on the field. You might need to rest and go to 60.
Hmm.
So, so yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to contribute or add about pain threshold and pain tolerance that, anything else you'd like to share with people before we end this talk?
No, I think we did cover it all in in this conversation. Maybe one thing is just talking to coaches. Like you said just then, it's important to tell your coaches and to use your body language to let your coaches know that you're actually in pain. Because if you are one to lazy around and then think that you can just go to a coach and be like, yeah, my leg hurts or this hurts or that hurts, then they're most likely to give you that response of, well, you just need to push harder. But if you show that you're giving 100% and you're being held back by maybe an injury or being held back by something that's bothering you, and you're concerned that it might affect you for the game or for whatever goal that you have to get to, then you need to make sure your coach knows and that you show him that just show him how you can be when you're at your full percent, and then how it looks when you're basically being held back because of different challenges.
Wow. Wow. So powerful. I guess that has to do with your National Honor Society. What is your title? You're doing something now.
Yeah, I'm the vice president of the National Honor Society, yes, and the vice president of our school.
Wow. Wait. That was kind of big. Those are big titles. Say it slower. Say it slower so everybody can embrace it. What is it
Yes,
again?
so the vice president of the National Honor Society, and then also the vice president of my school, which is Wake Young Men's Leadership Academy.
Wow. And you call me the motivator. Oh my gosh. You are the motivator. You are
No,
the
I don't want to steal your title. I don't want to steal
motivator.
your title like that.
Well, listen, yeah. Well, look, I'm not giving it up anyway. I was just kidding. But anyway, but listen, George, thank you so much for everything. You are amazing. Good luck
Mhm.
with everything. I know football's over next year. College.
Maybe in college, maybe playing some track next year as well. So
Look at you.
yes, I will provide updates with exactly what my path is.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much. This is once again Kelly Jones, KJ from Beyond My Life, Beyond My Expectations,
Mhm.
and for life coaching. And I also have George Doyle with me, the
Yes.
man, Captain, National Honor Society, and just the man. Thank you for everything, George. Oh, and of course, Beyond My Expectations LLC intern. So thank you for everything.
Yes, you're welcome.